Hello and welcome to the Kick in the Creatives podcast, hosted by myself, Sandra Busby, and my fellow creative Tara Roskell, offering you interviews, inspiration, motivation, and a gentle prod in the right direction. And for lots more information, challenges, and other useful tools to help you get creating, you can go to www.kickinthecreatives.com. And of course, this is where you can also find today's show notes. Enjoy the show.
Today's interview is with artist and creative Marcia Furman. Although Marcia originally trained in graphic design, her passion is for creating art. She sells her art through her Etsy shop and in person at crafts markets. She also shares her creative life and art tutorials through her YouTube channel, Art by Marcia Furman. We hope you enjoyed the interview.
Okay, so Marcia, first of all, we'd love to know how your creative journey began. Did you come from a creative background?
I guess I did. My family was kind of creative. Like my mom and my grandma, they painted, just dabbled, just like their hobby. So I was kind of brought up with, being encouraged to paint and draw.
So did they actually teach you to paint and draw? Or?
My mom, no, I guess not. I that's a hard question for some reason. Like I can't remember her teaching me how, but I just remember it was available to me. Yeah. So I was always able to just try it out and do it. Yeah.
So did you go the traditional route and go to art college?
I went to graphic design school at Pittsburgh Technical Institute, which had a lot of art in it too. Back then it was only a 1.5-year program, and I feel like it helped me a lot. But I didn't technically use my graphic design anymore, but I'm still glad I went to it.
Did you sort of study art as well then? Did they have art classes as well as the actual graphic design?
Yeah, there was a lot of just like painting. There was painting and pen and ink stuff, along with computer. Of course, that was so long ago at this point. So it was like right before internet really exploded, I guess. So yeah, I learned a lot more of the 4-color process that isn't used anymore.
Yeah, we had drawing boards. I don't know about you. We didn't know computers.
Yeah.
So did you get a job involving graphic design then when you first left college?
I tried. I worked at a printery where I did proofreading, and the reason I took that job was because the boss promised that I would be able to possibly move up to typesetting someday. So I went with it, even though I'm the world's worst speller of all time. And I did that for quite some time, and in the process realized that 40-hour work week, out in the world was not really for me. So gradually I moved away from that.
How did you get good at proofreading?
Didn't. I really just eked by for a long time. And then finally, honestly, I didn't get fired from it. I still worked there, but they were like, let's move you to something else. So I got moved to sending proofs to the companies. So I had to make dummy copies of the business forms, like multi-part checks and stuff. So, so that's how I did probably more years there than I did with proofreading. And I enjoyed it a lot more, that's for sure.
So what was some of the earliest art-related business you had?
Well, at first I guess I should explain that right after I graduated, I didn't do a lot of painting for several years. I don't know why. I must have just got burnt out or something. So I did something called buttongirl.net, and that was a 1-inch button making business, like little badges. And that was fun. I mean, I did some design with it, but it was mostly just people ordering for their bands or whatever. And then after that, I did painting on slates. My house had a slate roof, so we had a stack in the basement, and everybody kept asking me to paint, like their house number with some flowers and cheesy things like that. So I did that for a while.
So was that all pre-internet?
Well, it wasn't pre-internet, but that was before Facebook and, real social media.
yeah.
Yeah. Like the Button Girl, I just did a website and it was just word of mouth and then people searching, I guess, is how I got my name out there. I don't know. It's foreign now.
We're all letting everyone know our age, aren't we? Pre-internet.
I know.
So you've got very distinctive painting styles, two painting styles. So can you tell us about both of those styles and how you develop them?
Okay. Originally, I did a lot of surrealist type paintings, and I didn't even really know what it was called at first. It was just stuff that I got from my imagination. Like I have these tree ladies that I paint a lot, and they're just different things that don't really exist. So, and that was a lot of kind of an emotional outlet and things like that. And then I also do a lot of sketch journaling, which is more realistic, I guess. Things I see, nature, urban sketching type stuff.
So the surrealist stuff, these tree ladies, can you remember where that came from?
I think it was just the fact that I love trees and the way that they're each so individual, and you really can't mess them up when you're painting them because they're so individual, you know, they grow any way they want. And I thought, well, that's just kind of the way that people are. They're no two are alike, and it just kind of morphed into this thing, and I went with it.
What's your process then? So you find an idea, and you know, how do you go from that to creating a finished piece?
Well, I always sketch it out in my sketchbook, and sometimes it'll sit there in my sketchbook for years, like literally years, and I won't do anything with it. And sometimes I'll do the painting directly from what I did, or I'll work with it a little more. And then I just think about the colors that I'm going to use, try to use a lot of complementary colors. And I don't do a ton of planning other than that, though.
So you said they can stay in that sketchbook for a while.
Yeah.
Is that because you just don't feel like painting at the time, or are you waiting for another idea that comes along that you can kind of combine with it?
It's mostly just because I either don't have time, or you know, I don't really know. Sometimes I have so many in the sketchbooks that I don't have time to do them all, so it'll just kind of wait until I feel the urge.
And I guess as well, if they're in a sketchbook, sometimes you might not see them for a few years, and then you'll kind of look back and think, oh, actually, that's just sparked an idea.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes I'll look through, like whenever I need an idea, I'll look through them and pick a bunch out and decide which one to try.
I guess that's where sketching is just so valuable, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
And those sketches, will they be in colour?
No, not those ones. It's weird because I really have, like you said, have like two different styles and processes, I guess. And the surrealist ones, they're usually just pencil sketches in my sketchbook. It's a different sketchbook than my sketch journaling sketchbook. Yeah, those are usually black and white.
So I've got two very different heads when I do my artwork. Obviously, I'm a painter and I kind of lean on the side of realism.
Yeah.
But I also love sketching in my sketchbook, and it feels so different to do one from the other. It's two totally different heads. So is that how you feel when you're doing, you know, your sketches and then you've got your finished pieces? Do you feel different when you're doing them?
Yeah, I definitely do. Sometimes if I have a creative block, it's usually in the surrealist side of myself. Because the other one is so much more laid back and, you know, you just paint what you see. There's always something in front of you that you can see to sketch. So, yeah.
And I suppose there's not that fear, is there, either of it going wrong so much. Whereas when you're going for a finished piece, you kind of got this vision, haven't you, of I want it to look like this.
Yeah.
And there's that sort of side of you that's needs it to go right, whereas in a sketchbook it really doesn't matter, you can cover it up.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not going to show anyone if I don't want to.
No.
Anyway, I was going to ask, how did you learn to paint with oils and acrylics? Did you take courses for doing that?
Just, you know, in high school, whenever they had art classes, I would take them. But overall, I think it was mostly from playing around. Oils I didn't start on until I was much older. But acrylics, I just kind of messed around with whenever I was a kid.
Do you have a preference?
I think acrylics, believe it or not. I've recently started to do them both at the same time. I know that sounds weird, but I'll do my background with acrylics because it's the only way I can get the effect that I want. And then the subject, I'll use oils just because it can blend longer.
Well, you'll do an underpainting in acrylic, you mean, and then go over with oils. Yeah, because you couldn't do it the other way round.
Yeah, no way.
No, I think a lot of artists actually do that. Recently, I've come across a few realism painters that do exactly that. They'll go in with acrylics first and then work over with oils. And the beauty of acrylics, of course, they dry so quickly, don't they?
Yeah, I love that. I honestly love that.
But it does make it harder to blend, doesn't it? So the oils over the top is a good way of having that effect, afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They both have their goods and bad things. I love to do a lot of very thin layers with my paintings, especially on the background. So that's why I stick with the acrylics.
But you're a keen journaler, as you mentioned before. Yeah. And what sort of subjects do you enjoy painting in your journals, and what inspires you to do those?
I absolutely love to travel. So every time my husband and I go on a trip, I try to sketch something while I'm there. So I was brought up with a lot of pictures being taken everywhere I went. My dad was always taking pictures. So this is kind of like an expansion of that. It just helps you remember it and get to know the subject or the building or, the landscape, and you will never forget it. And I don't know, it's such a great feeling whenever you're there and you see the finished product, you will never forget.
And you do things like stick your bus passes in there and your train tickets, don't you?
Yeah, I love that.
Which makes it's almost like a scrapbook / journal, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Or else I would lose those things.
Yeah. And I think it's always much nicer, isn't it, to have something like that to look back on rather than a photo album.
Yeah. I love to take pictures still, but this one, the sketch journal, was just way more special to me.
Have you got a favourite kind of journal to draw in?
Right now, I'm loving the Hannah Mule watercolor sketchbook. I think that's how you say it. Hannah Mule. I've gone through different phases where I would prefer spiral bound over, the regular bound ones. But right now, I like to open it and be able to sketch the whole way across.
Do you have lots going on at the same time, or do you always work with one and then finish it and then go on to a new one? Because I know, Tara, you have several sketchbooks on the go at once, don't you? And you'll sort of be randomly going. Yeah. I'm completely different. I have to finish one before I start a new one.
I usually do finish one before I start another. I usually, unless I'm out and about and I don't have time to finish it, I'll have to wait until another time. But I try not to do that. But I do have several sketchbooks going. Like I have my backyard critter log that I do, and my travel sketch journal. Yeah.
Tell us about your critter journal.
I just recently started to getting into birds and feeding the birds after we moved here to Virginia, and we have a nice little backyard. It's not that big, but we have a couple big trees. And I noticed there was a lot of different kinds of birds. So that's another excuse to get out and practice and draw. So every time I saw a new one, I would record it, just try to get a picture. And then I would draw from my picture. And, sometimes I write some facts about the bird and the date. And not necessarily all birds, too. We've had deer and, squirrels and bugs, butterflies, stuff like that.
So you drawing these directly from life? Because I can imagine that's quite tricky if you're trying to catch a bird.
No, I have done that, but I usually try to snap a picture with my camera first.
Yeah.
And then I'll use that later.
And I noticed you've been joining an Urban Sketchers group as well. Can you tell us about that?
There are a couple different sketching groups. They're in Washington, D.C. I live really close to D.C., and there's the Urban Sketchers, and then there's just one on Meetup, and they kind of rotate every other week. So I've been, even though I get nervous in public sometimes, I've been trying to do those as much as possible, and I love it because it's very inspiring to see other people's artwork and just feed off of each other.
So do you feel nervous when you're actually sketching, when you're there sketching with them? Because you don't have to talk much then, do you?
No, I usually feel fine once I'm there and settled in. But
do you ever get comparisonitis, though, in a sketch group? Because I know that's an issue that a lot of people do have when they're going on something like that.
Sometimes it's not too bad because there's such a wide range of people there that are just beginning and some really professionals. So I don't know. I always just feel like I'm kind of in there, and that's the way it is.
You were saying if you ever got a block, it was generally from the surrealist type stuff you were doing. Now, is that the more commercial side of your work?
Yeah, but I think the reason it happens is because it's more emotional.
Right.
Like if I am not feeling, I don't know, sad or happy, or I'm just kind of, because those are mostly always inspired by some sort of emotion or memory or just something inside. So I've gone through times where I just don't have any ideas going on there.
So you've done a cloud one recently. I saw a cloud with like tears. Yeah. What's that one about?
That one was that was originally a sketch from years ago, and there's not a lot of meaning behind that one. It's just there's little leaves that are shaped as hearts and they're hanging down. It's just kind of a happy feeling. Yeah.
I think I saw that one earlier today, actually. That was worked up from a sketch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Years ago, I found that one in my sketchbook.
And I've got that back in 2005, 2006. Now, you have to correct me if I've got the dates wrong. You decided to take your art more seriously and became a professional artist.
Yeah.
And you set up an Etsy shop. So how did that go and what sort of things did you sell?
At first, I set that up in 2006, and mostly what I had was just a couple prints that I had made by getting pictures developed, like in the store. Like I got them developed as 8x10, and I had a pack of postcards. And, that was pretty slow going because that was, whenever you first have an Etsy shop, if you only have a couple of things in it, it's hard for people to discover you.
Yeah.
So, but gradually through the years, I learned how to do more items.
Was that quite early for Etsy? I don't know when Etsy started. Were you in there right at the beginning?
I don't know when it started either, but it was very early because there's definitely been a lot of changes in Etsy through the years that people haven't liked. And I remember those were before crazy algorithms and stuff like that. Yeah.
The thing with Etsy is it's just so huge, it's so dilute, it's very easy to get lost amongst so much stuff. So do you have any tips for people wanting to do the same and how they can get seen on Etsy?
I would say definitely have to be patient and you have to get a lot of items with keywords that they can search for, because the more items you have, the easier it is for someone to discover you. And even then, sometimes it's frustrating. I love Etsy, but it seems like as the years go on, it's just more and more saturated, and it's a rough market sometimes. So just patience, keep trying.
And it's hard, isn't it? When you're sort of an artist doing this kind of thing, you're the one that has to obviously make the product. Mm-hmm. You've also got to market the product. You've also got to list it, and you've also got to pack it and post it. Yeah. So there's a lot of work, isn't there, that goes behind the scenes. And I must admit, that's one of the things I like the least, is having to actually post something.
Yeah. I remember whenever I first set it up, it was so confusing, just trying to figure out how to take the pictures of your stuff and, and get the listing made. But now, since I have so many, it's gotten pretty easy. So you just kind of have to get over that initial, the heart.
And it's a lovely feeling, isn't it, when somebody buys something that you created.
I do love it.
Well, I saw you making those pouches. Is it pouches you call it? Now, that is quite an undertaking, isn't it?
It is. That is probably the hardest thing that I make because I get the fabric made through spoonflower.com, and you can get anything you want printed on fabric. So I have to set up this file that has all these pouches on it, just little rectangles. and get that printed. And then I cut them, and I cut the liner, and I sew everything. And I've got a real nice assembly line, not assembly line, but, you know, a little system going.
It's just you on the assembly line, I take it.
Yeah, just me. Just me.
Quite the small assembly line then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Small but perfectly formed.
So you also sell your work in person at art fairs. Now, you saying you're a real introvert, I thought that would be quite hard.
At first, it was really hard. And you can ask my husband, I still do get nervous, like about the day before. I start to dread. But once I get there and I'm behind the table, I feel fine. It's really funny, though, because I'll be like, go ahead and walk around, you know, shop around. And I'm horrible at that. I do not like to shop at the other ones. Not that I don't want to shop and look at their wonderful items. I'm just too nervous. I just would rather sit behind and talk to the people that come up.
Don't you?
I must admit, I'd be the same. I'd be exactly the same.
Don't you hate it though? I'm guessing people are pretty kind, but I would feel really open to criticism.
Yeah, and there has been some people saying some comments that I think they mean well, but, you know, they'll be like, oh, look at this. You know, I should become an artist too, or something, you know. You know, I don't know.
Well, there's always one.
There's always, every once in a while there's someone, or they won't think the price is good. And I'm like, do you ask Walmart to change their prices? No.
So,
and it's interesting. Go on, Tara. Have you got another question?
I was just going to ask what is involved in actually doing the whole fair thing. You know, what prep do you have to do, and how do you go about it?
Yeah, depending on what show it is, I'll start months in advance, or sometimes, you know, right now I have a lot of my stock already made, so it's not quite so bad. I just have to replenish everything. I know what my setup is like. I have my table and my displays. So that is the hardest thing when you're first starting out, is figuring out how to set everything up and have everything you need. Like sometimes you need a tent or 2 tables and chairs, the display.
And you have to provide your own, do you? Tables and chairs and stuff?
Yes. Well, not every time. It just depends. But I have it all just in case. Sometimes they even provide the tent. Sometimes you don't. And that's a big problem because we have a small vehicle and it's really hard to fit everything in. But we manage it.
So we were talking earlier about being open to criticism. Yeah. And I don't think there's anywhere that you're more open to it than on YouTube. And they say it's one of the meanest places on the planet.
I agree.
YouTube. Now, I just want to know, because you have a YouTube channel, which I love, and you share not only tips on painting and journaling, you share vlogs, you also share a lot of your personal feelings and what's going on in your life. Mm-hmm. And I think I like that. First of all, I wanted to know what inspired you to create a YouTube channel in the first place, but also, you know, how do you cope with, I haven't sort of seen whether you've got any criticism from it, but do you get it, and how do you deal with that?
Well,
that was a long-winded question. Sorry.
That's okay. I started out doing that mostly because, like, encouragement from other people. They said this would be a really great idea, something that might be able to get your work out there more. And also my son, who he is a videographer. Is that the word? Yeah. He has a YouTube channel and a podcast. And so he's really savvy on that. So I knew that I could get some help there. So yeah, I just decided that I was going to do something called Creative Tip Tuesday. I haven't really continued with that, but every week I just wanted to do a little tip. It was kind of nerve-wracking, but I just thought it would be good for me to go out of my comfort zone and try something new.
And do you like it now? Do you enjoy making those videos? And
I do enjoy it, but at the same time, I've recently been struggling a little bit because it takes up a lot of time, especially the editing. And sometimes I feel like it takes away from the real art. So I've decided to try to just do one a month, maybe one video a month on my YouTube and one on my Patreon. So, and only work on those one day a week so I can still paint.
I did hear you say, actually, that it feels like someone's looking over your shoulder. I think me and Sandra have felt like that as well.
It really does, especially like when I'm painting on my easel. I just feel like I don't know, I can't do anything else. I can't take a break, which is kind of good because it forces you to go on. But
well, Tara and I can certainly relate to how long it takes to edit videos.
Yeah.
And we've had this conversation before where, because, being in front of a video is one thing, but drawing in front of a video is something else altogether. And I always find that I flow quite easily in my sketchbook when I'm not on video. But the second I press record, I feel like I suddenly go static. It's really odd.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm only just starting to get more used to now.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. I have to step back and think, okay, now I need to think about how I would do this if no one is watching me, and just try to force that out of my mind.
You get a lot of people on these YouTube channels that talk and paint at the same time. That's something I don't think I could do.
Yeah, I don't do that. I do voiceover.
Yeah.
You're really good at those.
That's too many things going on. Yeah, you are really good at those.
Oh, thanks.
So going back to the criticism, how do you deal with it when you get it, or have you been lucky?
I haven't really had that much. I have people here and there like, maybe you should do this or that, but that's not really criticism,
No.
I guess. One time I got a really, really mean comment, but I think it was just one of those people that go around and troll people.
Yeah.
Because it was very strange. I don't...
Yeah. Well, I when I first thought about getting my own YouTube channel, which I don't have anymore, we just have a Kick in the Creatives one. But I remember going on and looking at other people's videos and thinking, oh my God, the comments are terrible. I don't think I can cope with it.
Yeah. I don't know what it is with YouTube.
No.
People just say whatever they want.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we had one bad one, actually, because I remember deleting it, and it wasn't it wasn't that bad, but it was basically we'd done one about imitation and go and get an inspiration, and he'd put something like, basically, that's the worst advice ever, and something like that.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, oh God, he's having to go for that, but we know we can put tights on our head, we can wear a stupid mask, and no one says anything.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what were the best ways you found to actually promote your art?
For me personally, it is between social media and doing the art fairs, honestly, because the art fairs, the indie craft fairs, it's a matter of going to the same ones year to year and just kind of building up a following. That has really helped me. So moving to this new area, it's been a challenge. I have to pay my dues.
So how many of those do you do a year then, the art fairs?
It just depends what I see. If something comes up and I'm available, maybe 5 or 6.
All right.
One year I did every single one that I found. And I got really burnt out. And another problem is I can't really do them myself. I have to have my husband with me, especially for the big lifting. He's my strong guy that helps me move the tent and stuff like that. So he's stuck with me.
I was just going to ask, social media, is that mostly Instagram?
Mostly Instagram and Facebook. That's what I mostly use. And as an introvert, I think the birth of social media is the best thing ever. It's helped me so much. I don't think I would have done half of the things that I've been able to do if I had to do it in real life. Face to face, I mean.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
So how do you go about balancing creating what you love and creating what you are intending to sell?
That is a very tough question that I struggle with all the time, because whenever I'm going through a phase where I do a lot of commissions, I do find myself feeling kind of down, and I just need to stop and do my own thing. So whenever that happens, I have to schedule it out so that I am working on someone else's painting and then a couple days working on stuff for myself. That way I just feel I have that creative outlet, the real creative outlet that comes within, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So are you generally like painting or drawing every day, would you say?
For the most part, I really am. That's one of my goals for this year. It's pretty much my goal every year, is to try to do something creatively every day. Right now, I am trying to schedule out my time better. So I am definitely painting Wednesday through Friday, and Tuesdays I'm trying to do videos. So on that day, I may not draw or paint, but I really should.
It's still creative though, the video anyway, isn't it?
That's true. That's true.
And how do you balance that creative time, like, you know, making videos, painting, with like family life and like Sandra's obsession, keeping the house clean?
Yeah. I try to keep it within certain hours of the day. Like while my husband's at work, that's whenever I try to do all my art related stuff. So when he's home, I'm off work too.
Yeah.
And then I leave Monday open so I can do like housework and stuff while he's at work. 'Cause, you know, I'm not
the week though, isn't it? Really?
No, but sometimes I'm not ready to focus on painting and stuff. I'm not a clean freak whatsoever, but I feel like if I can have my house a little bit recovered from the weekend, then I can focus on other things.
I always find that if I don't have all that kind of stuff done before I start painting, then I always feel like I should be cleaning.
I feel like that too. And I don't really do any housework on the weekends. Some people do everything on the weekends whenever they work 40 hours a week, but I try not to do that because I want to hang out with my husband and do other stuff.
Oh, well, my son is my last child to fly the nest, and he flew the nest about 3 weeks ago. So my cleaning time's halved.
Yeah, that's really nice.
It is. There is an upside.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you have any particular artists that inspire you?
Yes. And of course I have different artists that inspire me in the surrealist type side, and then like the sketch journaling. So my favorite surrealist is Mab Graves, and also Mark Ryden and his wife Marion Peck.
Tell us about their stuff. What's their stuff like?
They're just weird. Just weird stuff. I don't know if Mark Ryden,
I'm not sure you're selling them.
I know. It's just, I'm not creative with words as much as I am on paper, but whenever I see their stuff, I'm just like, where did you get that? I'm sure some of you have seen the dress that Lady Gaga wore once. That's like a meat dress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that totally came from one of his paintings. It's so weird, so fun. Just dreamy.
Oh, well, we'll have to put a link to them on our show notes, but you'll have to send us the link.
Okay.
So what about the other side? Have you got people that inspire you, say, on the journaling type side?
Yeah, definitely. And I realized as I prepared for this that most of them are names that I don't know how to say because they're from other countries. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that is American is James Gurney. I love him so much. He does a lot of gouache paintings in a sketchbook, like in real life. So
Tara, it is gouache.
I don't know which one it is either.
We have this nearly every week. I say gouache. Tara says gouache.
Yeah. I've heard both. I've heard both.
Sorry, we interrupted you.
Oh, no, that's
fine. Gouache.
Gouache. Let's see if I can pronounce these right. There's Alicia Aradilla? And then there's Yuki. I don't know. I'll have to send some links to these because I don't know. They're like either from Spain or Russia, and I don't know how to say that. But there's so many on Instagram that I follow. It's just so inspiring.
Have you ever taken any online courses?
I have taken a few on Skillshare when I did my... I had 1 year that I did sign up for it, and that was really fun. I just did some watercolors and I did some Spanish, which is not related. But
you should be able to read that name out then.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. But this is the only courses I've really taken. Oh, and I've done, what is that called? The Sketchbook Revival by Sketchbook. I love that. I mean, it's free, but it's a new artist. Is there 1 or 2 videos every day released?
I just know. There's a different artist every day, isn't there?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, because we interviewed, it's Karen Bend, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, we've interviewed her and she was lovely.
Yeah, I listened to it.
So have you ever had a creative block or times when you don't want to create? I think you said you did, but how do you get over it?
You know, I think that the best way to get over that is just to give yourself some time. I mean, of course, if it's way too long, like months, that's not good, and you got to figure out how to get past that. But like over Christmas, I did about nothing. I did do the Digital Art December challenge as much as I could, but I did no sketching, and I just took a break. I think that everybody needs to take breaks and, you know, refill.
Yeah, I've been the same, and I still haven't sort of got going again yet.
Yeah.
That's the problem, isn't it? I think you can get to a point where you, like you say, if it's a long time, it's almost harder the longer you leave it to get back into it, isn't it?
It really is.
It's trying to dip in as much as you can. But Christmas, I think, is a particularly hard time, I think.
Yeah.
Because you're just trying to spread yourself so thin, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you're drunk all the time.
Yes, not Sandra.
Well, it's a good way of loosening up your drawings, I suppose.
Yeah.
So for someone who wants to start or just improve the painting they're already doing or drawing, you know, what tips would you give them? Like for a beginner, perhaps?
I think you need to give yourself grace. A lot of people get discouraged right away because they look at what they've created and they're like, this is horrible, you know? And you just can't think that way. Not everything you do is going to be a masterpiece, and that's goes to everyone, not just beginners. So you got to give yourself grace, give yourself room to make mistakes, and just play with the art. Try different things, and just don't be afraid. No one else has to see it. And I feel like the fear of failure is a thing that a lot of people deal with.
And yet that is what makes you improve, isn't it? 'Cause
Yeah.
you can't improve if you don't fail because you don't learn anything.
Exactly. Exactly. Something else is, you know, like the podcast of yours that I just listened to. The consistency is so important, just to keep pushing on and practice.
I think it is a case of quantity rather than quality when it comes to sketching. It's just keeping yourself doing it, even though, I mean, I'm doing the Kick 365 challenge this year. And, you know, there was only one day. I mean, I know we're only on day 15, but there was one day where I was so busy, I just did not know where to turn. I was thinking, how am I going to fit this drawing in? But I did. Yeah. And it was only little, and it took about 5 minutes, but I did my drawing. Yeah. But it's just, I think the second it's like if you're on a diet, isn't it? And then suddenly you eat a big chocolate bar and you think, oh, well, I've done it now. I've broken the rule. I might as well give up. It's like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is.
You just got to keep going.
Just keep going. Keep trying, even if you feel like you suck.
Yeah. Oh, well, we all suck sometimes. Sometimes, don't we? You know, it's just part of it.
So when you were sort of learning and trying to get better, were you doing challenges at first, or was there no challenges about when you were just doing your own thing?
I suppose I was just doing my own thing. It was only the last few years that I got into doing challenges whenever I decided I really wanted to practice daily if possible. So, you know, that's a good kick to get you to do that. But before, it was just the desire to sketch and have this book that I could open and just look at all these different things inside and just feel this sense of accomplishment, I guess.
Yeah, I must admit, I wish I'd done more of mine in sketchbooks, because I've got a lot of floaty bits of paper around. It's like, yes, not only do you not know what to do with them, you can't flick back the same, can you, like you can with a sketchbook?
Yeah.
Can't you just put them in like a scrapbook?
I could do.
Or stick them in a sketchbook? Because I've done that before where I've put sketches that I've done loose that I like. I'll actually
just stick them in.
Yeah, I'd stick them in.
Some are on boards, so they'd be rather...
Oh,
well.
Yeah.
Well,
Good
yeah,
idea.
that's not so...
So what are your hopes and plans for the future?
well, wow.
More question.
Yeah. Honestly, I just want to keep on doing what I do and to feel like I can help people become more creative, to help others explore art, and just I also, this sounds kind of weird, but I have this goal this year that I would like to make some new friends, because we've been living in this area for 2 years, and as someone who works at home, I don't get out that much. I go to the gym and I do stuff with my husband, but so that was one of my goals, to get out and do more art with other people, like those groups, and make some friends.
You know the best way to make friends?
How?
Start a podcast. Seriously.
Ooh, no, that would be... You never know. Life takes you a lot of places you wouldn't expect.
She said that to me once, and here I am.
Yeah.
So where can our listeners find out more about you?
I would recommend Instagram, I guess, because that's my favorite platform. It's Marcia_Furman. And then I also have my YouTube channel that is Marcia Furman Art. And yeah, I'm active on Facebook too. I don't exactly have a website, but not yet. We'll see.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you ever so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you. It's an honor.
It's been really fun. Yeah, it's been great fun to speak to you. And no doubt we will catch up with you again sometime, maybe next year.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Take care then.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, perhaps you'd like to share it and leave a review for us on iTunes.